Okay, guys. So today we are going to be discussing the idea, and then we're going to talk about it in application of creating templates for our business. Now, the idea here is that when you get a new buyer or a new seller, you don't have to, when you create a transaction for them, you don't have to go back and recall every single form that you need because one of two things. The templates are going to be helpful because when you're a new agent, you're going to forget certain forms. Like you might remember the SPQ, but you might forget the TDS. Or as a seller or on the listing side, you might remember the listing agreement, but maybe you forget the trust advisory. So as a new agent, templates are going to help because they're going to keep everything together for you. Now, on the flip side, when you're an experienced agent and maybe you have four escrows going at the same time, templates are important because it helps you go faster without losing track of what you're doing. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about how we are going to share, I'm sorry, not share, how we are going to create a template. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your real estate center hub, recenter hub, whatever your association you're with, you'll have it here. And we're going to go to zip forms. If you don't see zip forms here, you need to go to this little icon here and you need to organize and manage the apps. I've gotten rid of a ton. I don't need a lot of these things, but there are certain things that I absolutely need repeatedly. I need access to the MLS. I need to use Cloud CMA. I need to get my realist tax records. RPR is for market research. Showing time, maybe, but I keep it there anyways. But then zip forms. Okay, so once you do that, you'll have kind of like your most commonly used ones here. I'm going to open up zip forms and I'm going to access my zip forms, get all your login credentials, tons of logins, windows, but here we are. Sorry, two things. I'm working from home because I'm still recovering from hamstring surgery, and I am fairly confident I'm fighting off some type of sickness. So I apologize on multiple fronts. So here is where we are right here. So this is all the transactions. I'm a trainer, so you can see most of these are actually testers. But what you would normally do is you'd go to new, and I'm going to use classic transaction. I haven't played with the new style yet. And you're going to decide, is this a listing? Is this a buyer purchase offer? Or are these leases? Now, traditionally, what people have done is they say, well, this is going to be a listing, and they'll do class test. They'll put in 123 Banana Street, residential. And then from here, they would hit save and they would have to manually add all the forms that they're going to be using in the transaction. I think that is inefficient for one of two reasons. Either you're a new agent and you're not going to remember every form you need, or you're an experienced agent and you need to do this fast. You don't have the time to scrape together all the forms. So the solution is we are going to create templates because again, if I were to create a transaction, I shouldn't have closed this yet. And let's see, blah, 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 residential. I would be able to select a template. Now, the templates are where it will autofill all the forms that you will most likely need and possibly need. So you can see that I only have two templates. I have a residential listing template and you can see the last time it's been updated. I'm recording this video November of 2025. Last time I updated this template was September of 2025, which I think is awesome. You should keep these updated. And then a residential purchase. Those are my two most common transactions. I don't deal with leases, so I don't have a template for leases. But if you're going to do leases, by all means. Hey, Danielle, you're jumping in the middle of a recording. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, cool. So, and by the way, this recording will be sent out. So I have two templates that I like to use. Now, how do you make the templates? Well, what you're going to do instead of clicking on a transaction or creating a new one, I'm going to go to templates up here and I'm going to hit forms and checklists. This is going to be recorded, so I'm not necessarily going to go slow. And you could see these are the two templates that I have. but you won't have any here. So we're going to do that together. We're going to hit new. And again, is this going to be for listings or for buyers? Notice I'm using plural. This is for all future listings and all future buyers. You're not doing this for one person. So let's take a look at my listing template. Now, the reason why I'm not going to give you a preset list of forms is because we're recording this in November of 2025. January, there's always updates. At least two times a year, there's updates to forms, requirements. They get rid of certain forms and certain requirements. Just the last couple years, we've added and removed certain forms from the templates because the DRE and CAR decided we didn't need them anymore. So, what you're always going to do is you're going to add a cover sheet. Now, the way you do that is you're going to go to organize. Sorry, you're going to go to documents. Okay, and I'm modifying a template. Yeah, it's fine. So, and you're going to add forms. So let's go back again and let's pretend I was creating a new one. Listing, we're going to call that a test, residential. Do not apply this to new transactions because, and here's the thing, I'm not going to say yes. I don't want this to apply to every new transaction because what if it's a purchase? If I'm opening up a buyer transaction, I don't want the listing template to autofill. So I'm going to say do not automatically apply. I will choose what template to use. And then scope is going to be personal. Um, and then I'm going to hit save. So now that we've, and by the way, in the name, I actually put the date because that helps me understand when the last time this was updated was. And then I'm going to start adding forms. Number one form, without a doubt, non-negotiable is you're always going to add a cover sheet. Okay. So now you're going to go through here. What did I say this was? Listing. And if you know the abbreviations, it's going to save you some time. TDS, transfer disclosure statement. So you can see that I'm just able to add all these templates in here. Okay. Now, I actually don't want this because I already made one. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the one that I've already created, and we're going to look at the ones that are here. So, cover sheet, the first thing I added. Next was the residential listing agreement. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? If it's a listing, you need a listing agreement. Let me drink some warm fluids real quick. Man. Okay. After that, we are going to add the TDS, transfer disclosure statement, and the SPQ. Then the AVID, the AVID. Now, notice these first four are almost non-negotiables. These are always going to be needed. If you're getting a listing, you will always need a listing agreement. There are certain instances where you won't need a TDS or an SPQ, but it's pretty common you're going to need it, and you're always going to need an AVID. Okay. Now, it starts to become less rare now. Do we always need a trust advisory? No, we don't always need a trust advisory. Do we always need a cancellation of listing? Hopefully not. But again, it's already auto-filled. If case you need it, it's there. And then modification of terms to the listing agreement. Maybe they decide that they want to adjust the price. Maybe they decide that it's been 6 months and the listing is going to expire in a month, so you need to extend the listing term. You would use modification of terms for the listing agreement. Okay. Now, again, why is this so important? Because if you're a newer agent and your listing is going to expire and your seller says, "Hey, I got 15 minutes before I have to leave town. Send me the extension to make the listing go longer." You may not have the time to remember what that is. If you already have a template, it will already be here. Okay. So this is your template. Now, could there be more things? Absolutely. There could be, let me see, let me minimize that, all forms. There could be a seller replacement, SPR. Yes, seller's purchase of replacement property. There will be times where your seller needs to buy their property in as a term of selling this one. It's a beautiful balance of timing and contingencies, but this is a form that they would need. If you don't think you're going to remember that form, then add it. just in case. There's a good chance that this person is just listing their home. Maybe it's an investment property. They don't need to buy anything else, or they're selling their house and they're going to rent an apartment for a couple months. Then they don't need this. So you just won't add it, but it's at least going to be an option. Okay. And I'm actually going to keep that in here because a lot of the clients we work with do need that dual escrow thing. So now I'm happy with this. I'm going to go back to my list. Now, because I just updated this, something that I'm going to do is I'm going to update the name to November of 2025. So now I know at a glance that this was recently updated. Now, listings are great. There's a good chance you're going to work with buyers. So let's go to buyers and let's say, okay, now notice how different this is. This is way different than the listing template, obviously. So first thing, no questions asked, we add the cover sheet. The cover sheet needs to be added. The reason for that, guys, let's see if it'll let me open it. Is because everything you add to the cover sheet will auto populate to the other forms. So if you take the time, I was always taught this and it was great advice, invest in a good cover sheet, meaning, do you know their name? Put it. Do you know their address? Put it. Do you know their cell phone number? Put it. Um, when you get down here, if it's the buyer side, you can put the lender's information. You can put the title information. You can put pest control. You can put all these things and it doesn't hurt. It's just going to autofill to the other forms, okay? So that's why the cover sheet is so important. I probably should have explained why it's so important. Now, what's next? Well, before they're writing an offer, they need to have a BRBC signed. So I have the BRBC as the first form that I'm going to see. After that, I have the RPA. This is the actual contract to purchase. Okay. Then I have another variation of the BRBC. It's a property showing representation agreement. It's kind of like a short-term BRBC. The reason I'm saying this is November 2025 is because by next year, this form might not exist anymore. Avid, as the buyer's agent, you have to do an Avid. And then now we're getting into things that you're probably going to need, but not right away. Buyer contingency removal. Your buyers will most likely remove some contingencies. So that's almost a reminder. There's a buyer contingency removal 1, 2, 3, 4, but I just put one to kind of remind you. Okay. Verification of property, aka final walkthrough. You're gonna definitely need that one unless your buyer opts out. Cancellation of the buyer representation. Again, like cancellation of listing, we hope we don't need it, but it's there in case you do. And then modification of terms for the buyer representation agreement. This would be as, let's say that they want to write an offer on a property and they're offering 2 apples as compensation instead of 2.5 apples as compensation. Well, one of two things needs to happen. Either your buyer needs to pay you that difference or you need to modify the BRBC to match. And that's when that would come in. Or you're extending it, any number of things like that. Okay. And now, if there's anything else that you would like to add to your own template, you would go here and you can start to add stuff. Okay. Um, Personally, I think this is a great start. You're not going to forget anything key. And again, I'll keep saying this. The reason why, I'm going to go ahead and stop share. The reason why this is important, one of two reasons why you should have templates. If you're a new agent, you should have templates because you're going to forget about certain forms. You're going to feel a little silly. You're probably going to look a little unprofessional to tell your client that you forgot something. And it's a load off your weight. It's a load off your shoulders that you don't have to remember every single form. On the flip side, if you're an experienced agent, sometimes comfort kills, meaning you're just going on the fly. You've done this for years and you forget a form because you're moving too fast. Well, a template will help you not forget certain things, okay? So, this was a shorter video. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.